What came through the smoke and lasers that day was a sharp-edged design that not only redefined what a vehicle in this segment could look like, but also split the car community into two groups of people. Those who praised its futuristic approach and those who were offended by the disregard for the traditional design that has long been a reason for our love of cars.
It's the usual utter nonsense from Mr. Musk that just makes you question the validity of everything he does.
Hey everyone, it's Todd the Cybertruck Truck Guy. Today I want to be addressing a recent video by Frank Stephenson, a longtime car designer. Now I think it's important at the front end to say that it's pretty obvious that Frank knows what he's talking about when he's talking about styling of the kind of cars that he has a long history with. He's designed some cars that I would consider iconic, like the Mini Cooper and several Ferraris and McLarens, and the Fiat 500 even is kind of iconic. I'm not really attacking his credentials, and I really don't have a disagreement about his opinion about the design of a Cybertruck as a designer. But my concern is because he doesn't understand what the Cybertruck is, why the Cybertruck is the way it is, and why it's so appealing to so many, especially truck guys like me. So let's get into it.
This is a big one. Big one. A little over 12 months ago, Elon Musk took to the stage to reveal the vision for Tesla's pickup segment.
So I present to you the Cybertruck.
What came through the smoke and lasers that day was a sharp-edged design that not only redefined what a vehicle in this segment could look like, but also split the car community into two groups of people. Those who praised its futuristic approach.
I feel like the spirit of DeLorean Motor Company has been absorbed into, it's like Tesla's carrying it on.
And those who were offended by the disregard for the traditional design that has long been a reason for our love of cars.
It's the usual utter nonsense from Mr. Musk that just makes you question the validity of everything he does.
It's been over a year since the Cybertruck was revealed, and I am only now sitting down to do this review. This is an absolute testament to the importance of this design, what it means for the future of not only car design, but also design as we try to usher in a new generation of socially responsible and technologically innovative inventions. It's a design that I feel is so pivotal that I've taken over a year to calm myself down, collect my thoughts, and find a way to use the Cybertruck to pull in some ideas that I feel must accompany us into a future that is right on our doorstep. It's our job as designers to not guess what the future is going to look like, but to decide what the future will look like. In every OEM project that I've worked on, my responsibility has been to create a car that will still feel fresh at least 10 years into the future.
Okay, so right here we can start to see where I think he sort of goes off the rails, because he's comparing the process that the Cybertruck went through to the process that he as a designer went through and what he was responsible for achieving with those other past cars. But the question he doesn't ask himself is the same kind of principle applicable to the Cybertruck? Is the Cybertruck trying to achieve the same thing that these designs that I worked on in the past were trying to achieve? And I would say absolutely not, because the idea is that the Cybertruck was not designed, it was engineered. The whole point of saying that is that there were two things Elon Musk was trying to achieve with the Cybertruck: to make a kick-ass truck and to make it so it was affordable so that people could actually purchase it. The other thing is that in the world of trucks, the design aesthetic that is most interesting to people is not something sexy or beautiful. It is tough. It is beastly. If you want to say masculine, it's probably not politically correct. But when people are looking at trucks, they're not looking for them to be pretty. They're looking at them to be tough, macho. You know, that's the whole world of trucks and truck culture. You can ignore it. You can pretend like it doesn't exist. But if you're trying to get into that demographic, then that should be your consideration is, Does the aesthetics of this vehicle have the ability to appeal to the kind of person that really wants a vehicle to do what the Cybertruck can do? And I think the evidence there is overwhelming.
My first concern with the Cybertruck is how dated that it's going to feel in a very short time span. And here's a perfect analogy. When the PlayStation 1 first came out, its graphics were mind-blowing, and the accuracy of its portrayal of the real world were nearly unfathomable.
Dude, like, for real? I mean, you had a year to come up with an analogy, and this is really bad one because you obviously don't know much about video games or video game culture because A, the Sony PlayStation revolutionized video games, and B, one of the most popular video games right now is this stupid Pong level graphics video game called Among Us. So obviously his analogy doesn't work. I don't know why he picked this analogy.
In a little over 20 years, and in light of the current power and graphics of, say, the PlayStation 5, we realized just how insufficient those graphics were. And we're horrified whenever we return to those old games at how the reality of those graphics do not live up to our memory of them. What the Cybertruck is a low poly rendering of something that has the potential to be extremely beautiful. This is just making it obvious that over the generations of this vehicle's evolution, like the generations of evolution in video games, is going to be one of pursuit of something more reminiscent of the natural world. This design, for me, reveals that Elon Musk's genius is, of course, sturdily rooted in the future, but without a strong enough grasp on the past.
Yeah, we know that's why he's kicking everybody that has a firm grip of the past's ass all over the place. I guess points for your argument because Elon isn't rooted in the past?
Moving on. The Cybertruck may have been shocking for some due to its triangular shape, but when you've been around cars as long as I have, you wouldn't have been too shocked at the execution because it may be something you've seen before. In 1980, Citroën released their concept car called the Citroën Carene, and the Carene features a similar pyramidal shape, yet with sensuality and appreciation of form that, to me, still makes it look even more futuristic than the 2020 Cybertruck.
Go on.
Granted, they do occupy two different segments, and some of the technical elements like the lights do date the Carene, but ultimately they've set out to achieve two very similar things.
I guess I didn't realize they were both trying to achieve the same thing. That little triangle car was trying to become a quasi-indestructible super beast capable of towing 14,000 pounds, carrying 3,500 pounds, enduring decades of punishment, being able to operate for pennies a day and be affordable for most people, and I guess actually get made?
With the designs, which is to represent a vision of what the future could be.
Oh, so not the same thing. I mean, you do know that people buy these to use them as vehicles, and truck people aren't really looking for a vision of the future. They're looking for a badass truck. I guess you didn't know that.
And I don't know about you, but of these two alternative versions of the future, I want to live in the timeline where the Carene exists.
I'm afraid that's going to be a hard no.
If we compare the interior design of the Carene and the Cybertruck, the difference in character becomes almost palpable.
We agree?
They're equally minimal, yet the Cybertruck feels cold and isolated, like a Mars rover that is protecting you from an almost externally inhospitable environment, yet it cannot protect you from the lifelessness of the outdoors as it somehow still finds a way to seep in. Now, the Carene, however, looks welcoming and it looks warm with an essential amount of buttons for you to explore. The fabric of the seats and the carpet makes it feel like a lounge on wheels. And that reassures you that you're somewhere that you can feel comfortable, not only on the inside of the car, but in the world that you are traveling through.
Frank, have you ever been in a pickup truck? I mean, have you ever towed anything or put anything more than a set of golf clubs in the back of a vehicle? Do you know what people use trucks for? This thing looks like it was designed from the characters from Stranger Things trying to predict what a vehicle from the future would look like. I literally, wow.
The fact that the main selling points of this car are its security features, dent-proof paneling, and bulletproof glass reveals the insecurity of this design and the paranoid future that it seems to be capitalizing on.
Okay, Frank, it's obvious that you haven't done much homework about the Cybertruck, but let's get into it here. So the reason the Cybertruck has the rigid stainless steel structure is that the only way they can actually affordably make it that way is to bend the stainless steel. The reason they decided to use the stainless steel is Elon Musk was impressed by the stainless steel's features and durability while he was actually using it to construct the Starship. The fact that it's bulletproof is just a gimmick to demonstrate how durable it is, which tells me that you've obviously never had your wheel wells rust out by driving in the Midwest during the winter, or you've never had your front quarter panel damaged while off-roading, or you've never had your bed get torn up because of all the tools that are bouncing around it as you go about work. The fact that you're focusing here on the security stuff and you're ignoring the utility, the durability, the performance, the functionality, the real reasons people actually are buying the Cybertruck is remarkable. As a car person, I'm stunned that you haven't gone deeper to understand the reason it looks the way it does. And why doesn't it have all those curves? It's a function of trying to achieve something that curves or the design you want wouldn't allow.
But still, there's something fascinating about the statement, and I'm left wondering how this car would have looked and felt if it had been more considered. And then I saw this. This is a Buick Electra concept, and Buick do have a recent history of not bringing into production relatively impressive concept cars. So I'm not necessarily looking at the feasibility here as much as I am interpreting the intention of this design.
I guess, yeah, if Elon wanted to build a vehicle that no one could afford and might not get produced, you're the guy to design it.
In stark contrast to the brutality of the Cybertruck, the Buick Electra concept looks like a beacon of hope for our future.
So I just want to end this by talking about the idea of whether or not design that's utility can also be beautiful. And I want you to think about an amazing military airplane in flight or the SpaceX Starship launching. And while those vehicles are exclusively designed for utility, the fact that they achieve their utility with such grace, with such authority, with such ability, gives those designs a beauty that's intangible, that isn't a reflection of the aesthetics of it so much as what it can do and how the design optimizes its ability to achieve those things. And with that, we'll end the video. We'll catch you next time.